right, y'all. So we're back for another episode of Real Estate 2020. 20 questions, 20 minutes. And we may go over. We probably will. Today, good buddy of mine, Luke Bouman's on here from Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'm not going to read his eulogy like everybody does when they have videos, but it's in the show notes. And so is his social media handles. So if you got questions or referrals, that's the man to talk to right there.
Yeah.
He's also a team leader that gives you a little bit of background. And actually, fun fact, Luke and I were on the cover of Realtor Magazine together. So he was the much taller, handsome guy. I was the fat kid in the back. But other than that,
a diversity thing. Yeah.
All right. So Luke, I've given you these questions ahead of time. They're going to be the same ones from every video, but really just want you to talk to the next generation of realtors about like what to expect. So question number one, what was your biggest challenge when you were first starting out in real estate?
Well, I got in the business in 2006. Brad, I think you were a similar time frame.
Yeah.
And what I realized pretty early on is that it was kind of an old man, old woman's game when I jumped in. It was not the social media stuff. It was harder for new agents. That's kind of, 2006, I just jumped in and I did a lot of door knocking. I mean, it was pretty much I'd pick a neighborhood and say, go door to door saying, do you have plans of selling now or in the near future? And I got a couple from that. Then you start doing some open houses. I would deliver Smarties to businesses. That's all I could afford. It was like, what's the biggest, bulkiest candy that I could afford? And I would leave these baskets of candy with the receptionist. And then I'd come back and say, hey, did anyone ask for my business card? No. And then I started doing like homebuyer seminars from that.
So is it finding business?
That was kind of
is that the hard thing?
What's that?
Was it a challenge like finding business or breaking in?
I think the biggest challenge for me getting in is that 2007, the market kind of came crumbling down. 2007, 8, 9, it was like when I finally got traction, like there wasn't really any business out there. And I have had people say, oh man, you got in the worst business at the worst time. I don't know if you've heard that, Brad, but it's like, really, I think it was the best time because it was all I knew.
Yeah.
And it taught me how to work and market and just do things different. And then when the market did finally turn, it was like, oh, business is a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And all those things I was doing worked just at a better level.
I feel like the old man now because going through that time, now when things take a dip, you're like, hey, back in my day, I was carrying houses for 6 months. And they're all like, shut up, grandpa. But it did actually, I think, set us up to be probably generationally some of the best realtors there are because we've been through so much ups and downs that most people didn't. So with that being said, how long do you think it took you for question number 2 to kind of feel established? Or do you even feel established yet? Do you feel like you're a professional, like you're an expert?
I feel like, winning Rookie of the Year was big for me. I didn't do much. I think I did 2.1 million. It was 13 sales. 13 sales today might be 5 million. Back then, it was, $120,000 homes. Hitting Rookie of the Year was big just because I was with, a Coldwell Banker. And I may have been the only rookie there. I don't know. But just to have won that was like that felt good. It's like, hey, I'm gaining some traction. I'm starting to get some referrals. And then, the 30 under 30 was a big piece, but this is a journey. Like you never really feel like you've made it. I mean, there's always someone who's doing more. There's always someone who has better accolades. There's always someone who's doing something different. And that's the thing I like about this business because I'm always out learning and growing, but it's also one of the reasons like I dislike it at times because I just want to coast and just kind of just let what I've done work. But I realize that if I don't, there's new agents who are jumping into social media or whatever it is they're doing and they're gaining traction and they're taking business from me. So it's a constant journey. I think some of those wins though, when you can finally pay your bills and you're not relying on, like my wife to her job and I don't know. That's a good I love
one.
The job, but there's days it's like, man, I just wish I could just chill a little bit more.
Like almost like a subscription, like if we could do a subscription-based business for real estate, just have residuals coming in each month. And I know right when I said that, all these multi-level marketing agents are like, we have that, but shut up. I wasn't for you. All right. So number 3, where does the majority of your business come from? And do you like it coming from this source? Like, what did you find to be like your business niche?
Well, I would say most top producers I found, the referral and repeat business is their number one source. Now, there are some agents who I've seen, it's like, man, they're just crushing it on YouTube or they're crushing on Google, local, whatever. There's, we do a handful of things outside of, but the referral and repeat business is our bread and butter. We do a really good job during the transaction. Our goal is for our clients to have a better experience than anyone else. Like, it's not just like we want the experience when they come back to think, man, that was like 5-star, that was awesome. Like that was different. So there's some things that we do around that and I'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah. That's great.
But I think that's the sphere is the main. And then Google having Google reviews has been crucial. For a while, I was like, got to get as many Zillow reviews as I can. And now it's like, team, we got to get as many Google reviews as we can because there's so much business. If we don't have that social proof, as soon as someone talks with us, they are researching you.
Absolutely.
So get those Google reviews up. That's been kind of our second big piece this year or this past year.
That's a great part. All right. So what marketing strategies do you think have been most effective for you?
From early on?
Yeah, just in general. Like, what have you found to kind of been like your sweet spot?
Well, so kind of with the sphere and just like a referral repeat, we have a VIP program. So like a lot of agents, they do the movie days and pie days and different stuff. And, you know, when I was first doing that, I felt like I was about the only agent doing stuff consistently. And now it's kind of taken off. I think it's just kind of standard. So it was like, what can we do to expand on that? About 2 years ago, we purchased a moving truck. Maybe it was 2.5 years ago.
Nice.
Kind of the one with my big face on, kind of awkward when I drive in parades. But it's been something that our clients can use for free, whether they're buying or selling, or even if they're just needing to move stuff. But then from there, we took it a step further, and we actually have like a free rental program now. So when someone buys or sells with us or, refers us business, we have a storage center. So we have tables and chairs and canopies and bouncy houses and cotton candy, snow cone and popcorn maker and yard games and grills and all this stuff that people can use for free. And we have a lot of our past clients who are throwing like housewarming parties, birthday parties, and graduation parties. Now
That's
it is
awesome.
logoed with, like our stuff's on there. And we also then have a tool shed. So we have like table saws and miter saw and leaf blower and power washer and carpet cleaner and stuff. So like that marketing piece has been good just because it's something so different than anyone else. And it's kind of a unique selling proposition in a sense because say, hey, well, you can work with this realtor and, maybe you'll get a Christmas tree. But by working with our team, you get this stuff for life. So you get the free moving truck. And then your kids are 5, we have 3 bouncy houses that they can use for free and people will start using. It's been a good thing. It's a lot of work. To kind of manage it all is you need to almost have a full-time person kind of handling it, but it's been a good source for our clients.
Dude, that's awesome. Cause if your bread and butter is repeat and referral, they don't need you but every 10 years for a sale. But like if you can stay in front of them and save them a trip to Lowe's or to rent or borrow something, like that's brilliant. That's a great one. So number 5, what's been your most inventive idea, or did we just talk about it? Was that your most inventive idea, having this kind of free rental business?
Yeah, but kind of getting where you are, you're always trying to do things differently. I remember early on in my career, this was before like the Zillows and stuff were on, I would call for sale by owners and I would say, it wasn't me trying to list their home. I was trying to offer something of value. So I would say, hey, I have a section on my website that you can advertise for free. So I basically had our listings and then I had a section of for sale by owners where that was kind of my way in the door on for sale by owners because then I have their information, then they have their pictures on my website, and then I check in every couple of weeks. Hey, how's it going? I've had this many hits. That was kind of one of those ideas that it landed me some business. And then, Zillow and everything else came and knocked me out. But
that's a great one, dude. I never heard of that one. All right. So let's move forward to number 6. What's a common mistake you see other agents make? New agents make. What do you think?
New agents?
Yeah, new agents. Sorry.
I would say there's probably 2 things. I think there are a lot of agents who come in overconfident that it's going to be easy. Or, hey, I watched this New York show and I'm selling $1 million homes. I think a lot of people have gotten into business thinking it's maybe a little easier. And then 2, I don't think newer agents learn as much as they should. I think they do the class, they learn on the business by, showing homes and stuff. But I found like the best agents are they're lifelong learners. They're listening to podcasts like this. They're going to webinars. They're traveling, they're reading. And it's the people who are implementing that stuff that they learn. It's what separated me. I always find it interesting, Brad, that I feel like the best producers are the ones who are learning the most and growing the most, where I feel like it should be opposite, or it should be the agents who are struggling. Those should be the people who are really
it's funny.
Learning and growing. That never made sense to me.
It's funny you bring that up, and this is not supposed to be about me, but I think it's a good segue, a good analogy. Daughter was going into a magnet program for her middle school, right? And the teacher, the head teacher of the magnet program, was like, hey, you'll take a class. You'll take a test to see where we put you for math. And you could be super advanced or, kind of advanced or just normal. And you'll go where you go. And my daughter's like, I want to be super advanced. He's like, you'll go where you test. He goes, because the problem is you may do well in these classes. But if you don't have the foundations correct, when you get to like super, super hard, like honors algebra 47, like you're going to fail at some point because you didn't have the basics to get you through that point. And it really smacked me in the face when he said that. And it's just a casual conversation, but it's so true. So many agents come out and they can sell a house or 3 or 5 or 10, but it actually doesn't mean they're a good agent. And it doesn't mean they can handle anything that's just not a straight laced sell my house for a good price in a cookie cutter neighborhood. So I think you're right. It's the people that think they made it after 2 deals that they think they did. So sorry, made that about me.
They get smacked in the face with 6 months without selling, and then
Yeah.
they're out of the business.
Yep. So we talked about what mistakes new agents you think make, but what are some of the biggest ones you think you've made in your career, the ones that you learned the most from? And maybe don't call them mistakes, but biggest learning points.
Well, I think that was my thing. The learning point, it's probably when I hire people for my team too quickly, and I probably don't bring it to God first and say, hey, is this the direction you want me to go?
Yeah.
Because the saying is you fire slow and hire fast. I think I've done too many times where I've hired fast and then fired slow. But it's a learning. Like if you're not learning from your mistakes, what value are you really bringing? So to me, it's always, are they mistakes? Absolutely. But are they growth opportunities? Yes, that's been the big thing for me. But I think the biggest thing is potentially hiring the wrong people. Because, you're trying to have like this group of people who all like and love and have fun with each other. And when you bring someone in who might be a little toxic because they might sell a little bit more, they might cut the corners, like it just can bring your whole team down.
Sure. And it's hard to repair that in the moment. It takes time. And then, gosh knows. Anyways, we'll make it. Yes, I agree. I think that's a great one. So what are your metrics for success? Is it deals? Is it lifestyle? Is it hours not at work? Like, how do you measure your success at this point in your career?
At this point, I mean, for me, it was always, for many years, it was how much can I sell more real estate than I sold the year before? And I did it every single year until 2003. And that was always the barometer is, hey, can I sell more? And, at a certain point, it kind of is like, well, is that really that fulfilling? To me, it more now is the success of my team agents and the agents, the admins and stuff. I had someone 6 months ago, they had 10 years as a salesperson on my team. I have someone this month, 10 years. My admin's been with me for 14 years. I have another 8, 7. Like, I see a lot of teams where there's just a big turnover rate. So to me, I think a big thing that defines success for me is people who are making a good living, but also have a good lifestyle. It's not like they're working all the time. And then they're deciding to stay with me for a reason. Like that fills me up pretty big.
Yeah, we're getting old, man. We're changing from being out there grinding to like, cheerleading people on.
I hit 40 this year. Do you see all this gray? Man.
Dude, tell me about it. So we talked about measuring it. So maybe it's the same answer, but like, what do you consider your biggest success so far? Like, what do you, like when you look back, you're like, that's my biggest success.
I mean, those are big. I think it's still providing for the family has been big. Some of my history with my wife having 10 years of chronic pain and in and out of the hospital and, months sometimes in the hospital, my son struggling with autism and OCD and just different stuff. So like to be able to provide, because I've oftentimes thought like, man, if I didn't have this job, we'd be living under a bridge somewhere. To just be able to provide, like that's kind of been my big why. My kids are 11 years old. Yours are younger too. It's like, hey, I got 7 more years with them to really like influence them.
Right.
Like to me, that's been the big. They still want to hang out with me right now.
Yeah,
and we
fun.
can do some epic vacations, and I've been able to provide for my wife so she didn't have to work. That's probably been the biggest success for me in this profession.
Great, dude. Yeah, I did the other day. I was like, I think I have 5 Christmases left with my 12-year-old or thereabouts. I was like, holy shit, 5. Like, I got to start being a better dad. Let's see. What would you say your real estate superpower is when it gets back to the actual real estate part of it?
Yeah. Well, I'm very persistent. Like that's a big thing. Like I'm going to find a way to make it happen. But I think my biggest superpower is me persuading my clients to do what I think they should do, what I know they would be happy that they've done once they do it, but without them yet realizing that's the best thing for them.
Yeah. I got you. Okay. So
persuaded. That makes sense?
Yeah. No, so it's funny because I like to use the word manipulation and people think that's a bad word. And it very well may if you look in the dictionary, but I think there's a way to help people get to where they need to go because they told you what they want, but oftentimes they get in their own way so they can't get there. So no, I think it's a real fair answer.
Yeah, every once in a while I'll show it, like if my team agents are out of town and they need someone to show them a house. And then it's like, I sell them a house. And it's like, well, guys, what took you so long? Like, you do need to push a little bit. And I think sometimes agents on the team are afraid of losing their client. But I think if you really know what they're looking for and you can articulate that in a way that makes sense, that's probably the superpower that I'd say.
Yeah, that was a great one. So when the days you're working, so not your days off or your days when you're not in the office, what does your average day look like in real estate? Do you have a cadence to it, or is it just fire to fire to fire? What are you doing?
I've been better this year. There are a lot of fires in this industry. I've been pretty consistent with phone calls. Like if I'm trying to get in by 8 a.m., it doesn't happen. But
Yeah.
my goal is to make at least 2 hours of phone calls. So
Wow.
an hour of prospecting and an hour of follow-up. Yesterday, I made it 4 hours. So I did 120 calls yesterday.
Jeez.
But we do have a daily huddle with our team, which is from 9 to 9:15. We just talk about like, what do you accomplish yesterday? And what is your goal to accomplish today? And how can I hold you accountable? So, and then from 8:45 to 9 every day, I do practice scripts and dialogues. I believe that the fastest way to earn additional income in real estate is becoming better skilled on the telephone and becoming better skilled. So that's been my focus this year is 8:45 to 9. It's not mandatory, but the agents who are on there and are learning and practicing with me are selling more real estate already. The afternoons are usually more appointments, sometimes follow-up, email stuff, but I try to keep the mornings for more phone calls, the afternoons for listing appointments. That's what I do. My role on the team is just to work with sellers, so I don't work with buyers. And then I'm typically home by 5:30.
Sweet.
Very rarely is someone not willing to meet me during business hours for a listing appointment. So it kind of frees up my time for the kids.
Heck yeah. No, listings are where it's at. You know that. What's the first thing you do when you start your work day? We kind of talked about that. Okay, so let's change this. I got to change that question because it's kind of redundant. What do you consider essential to your routine? Is like, are there certain tools or a certain mindset? Do you journal? Like, what do you do to get yourself ready for the day? Maybe it's scripting. Maybe you already hit that one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm usually calm before scripting, though. I've just realized that the more people you talk to, the more money you make in this business. So to me, it's what is the one thing that I can do that makes the biggest impact, and that's making phone calls.
Yeah.
And I think people always say I need more leads. I think there's probably a bigger issue is that the follow-up for most agents isn't good enough. And I would say that separates me from most. It is, and I use Follow Boss, the A, B, C categories, like, hey, it's been 3 days since I talked to this person. I better call them. And I just hammer through those calls. And that's really the one thing that leads to success.
Yeah.
And that's what gets me on the telephone.
Isn't it interesting how, not basic, but like, yeah, you just want to talk to more people, you get more business. Like we have a mutual friend, Brandon Green, and I was talking to him one day about business planning and other stuff. And I was like, I want to do more next year. I want to double. I'm going to double the size of my company, or I want to, whatever. He's like, I want to make this much. And he's like, well, how much is that? And I told him, he's like, so that's twice as much as you're doing now. I was like, yeah. He goes, okay, just double your company size. And I was like, son of a bitch. Oh, yep. I'll just double my company size. It's like, that's
right.
It's just basic crap. There's no golden thing here. All right. Number 13. So how do you feel like you deal with the stress of real estate? What is your coping mechanisms? Healthy or unhealthy, I guess, but like, have you figured out a way to cope with it and, detoxify a little bit?
Do you play pickleball, Brett?
I have never picked up a pickleball racket.
I mean, that's
paddle
my
thing.
my go-to.
Yeah.
I mean, I played basketball in high school and college, and now I'm old and can't move well. So pickleball.
Yeah, I was gonna say, your tall ass get down and like, can you get down and hit one off the floor?
I can, yeah. I'm pretty agile yet. I play a couple times a week. That's really my outlet.
Good.
My wife and I, we do the Netflix and stuff at night. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't say like there were times when this business was much more stressful. And it might have been when I was always trying to beat the year before, where it's like every deal that fell apart, man, that hurts more. When you take a step back and realize that it isn't life and death, you can take a breath. People understand if you wait an hour to call them back. I think it helped me from just a stress level. I also stopped following some of my biggest competitors on social media. It was like I would just look what they're doing now. Oh, look at all the sales, and I just had to stop. It was like I was comparing myself to what they were doing, and I just need to go out and do my own thing.
So you use pickleball to cope with it, but you also remove some stress from your life too.
Yeah, I think I do. I just smack the ball at people. You got to give it a try.
I will at some point.
It is a jam.
So how do you balance? How do you feel like you balance your career and your personal life? Because, like you said, you had a lot going on. Do you have some non-negotiables? Like you put some hard blocks in there, or what are you trying to do with that?
Well, I mean, they always talk about work-life balance. I mean, I think work is life and life is work in a sense. I've never been one who's working 60, 70, 80 hours, at least working. Now, my
Sure.
mind is always going. Like,
Yeah.
I'm always thinking. I try to, like, Sundays, I haven't worked Sunday unless someone randomly will call me, but we got church and family times. Very rarely is someone wanting to list a home. So for me, it's been, weekends have been off for a long time. Uh, Evenings are the hardest because I know if I check my phone, well, that could be another deal. So what I will sometimes do is I'll give my phone to my daughter and say, you need to hide my phone somewhere in the house. And then from 5 to 7:30, because if I know where it is, I'm going to, stroll over. Oh, someone just called. Oh, I better take this. So she'll hide it in the house sometimes.
That's
Um,
cool.
that's really how I kind of cope with the itch of trying to check is I can't even find it. So no, we've said before that as much as it's nice to make more money, be more successful, that I'm willing to give that up for better home life.
Yeah.
And I'm not perfect,
Sure.
vacations. I mean, I'm checking my phone. I'm working a few hours. It's not a completely free of work, but there are also a lot of benefits that come from the job that
For
my
sure.
family understands.
So let's talk about marriage, and I'm not trying to go in deep detail, but have you figured out a cadence or a hack? A hack is such a dumb word in this one, but like to make sure you make time for your marriage and make sure you have time for real estate. And I know it kind of goes to the family part, but I think so many people, a lot of realtors are divorced for a reason. So I don't know. I
Sure.
don't know if you figure something out with that.
Yeah, we've been married 17 years, a lot of highs and a lot of lows. I mean, just like any marriage.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing is just doing a weekly date night. Like if I can give one piece of advice for someone who's married or newly married or struggling with marriage, whatever it might be, it's have a weekly date night, have your kids, a babysitter, just pay for it. Like it's totally worth it.
Right.
And just that quality time. And for a while, we were doing just like you're going out for dinner, and it's like, oh, that's fine. But last few times, like we've done X golf and we did duck pin bowling. If you ever heard of that, it's like
Uh,
this miniature bowling thing,
cool.
like miniature pins, miniature ball,
Yeah.
and it's just like having fun with your spouse is to me is crucial because I mean, there's sales is tough, draining, but
Yeah. That was great. Awesome. So yeah, just date night, but like scheduling it, right? Like making a purpose, just
yeah.
like everything else in your life. That's great.
My wife also likes gifts, so if I can surprise her here and there with something.
Her love language is diamonds. Yes, I get it. So when you're feeling burnout, which may not happen to you, but if it does happen to you, what is your best way to get recharged? Is it playing pickleball, or do you do something else to kind of get yourself right?
Pickleball's big. Honestly, when I'm in a drought, it's usually like where I find my motivation is where I start listening to other real estate agents, just their, stuff like this, like what other people are doing. And it kind of, oh, look what I'm going to start doing that. Like, and kind of get out of a funk, just hearing new ideas of what other people are doing. Now, that's not the same for everyone. Some people are like, I've had enough of real estate. I don't want to talk about real estate. I want to think about real estate. Vacation, having a few vacations every year is obviously important. But when I'm in a funk, it's usually because I've stopped learning. And when I start turning that back on, it's like, oh, wait, I could, and then I get kind of excited about it again.
Yeah. So like seeking knowledge, like when you feel burnout, like you're burnt out because you feel like you're a stumbling block. So maybe seeking some knowledge, talking to some people,
Yeah.
getting your brain reworking. It's a great one. All right. So finishing it up, we got 4 more left. So a lot of agents talk about work-life balance. I know we kind of touched on that, but they also want to sell a lot of houses. So, but they also don't want to work a lot. So what advice do you give agents that are struggling for like work-life balance? They're trying to find it. What would you tell somebody that came to you like, hey, I'm trying to find work-life balance. What do you think?
And still be very successful. I mean, I
Sure.
think a lot of agents, they wear busy as like this prize. If you ever ask someone like, how are you doing? And they say like, oh, I'm busy. Like, it's like, this is like this social status that we have. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's an American thing or whatever it is. I think you need to find a way to be productive. Stop worrying about being, I know agents who are way busier than me who don't do near the sales. So to me, I think if you can be like some sort of time blocking, like if you can work and really focus 2 hours a day on prospecting and building your business, the follow-up, I think you're going to be able to be much more productive than just being busy and doing stuff. So I don't really have a great answer because when you're new agent too, I think you do need to bust your butt. Like until you start making and you start getting referrals, like the first 2-3 years, just kind of expect it. And then I think you need to kind of dive into like, what's your why? Like when you look back 10 years from now, are you going to be super happy that you made 50 grand more? Or are you going to be happier because you spent more quality time with a family?
Sure.
And
That's a
I
good
know when
one.
I'm in it, it's like, I'd rather make money. Well, like, yeah, I get that. Uh, but I think if you really think about it, like, you only have one life, like, I don't think, having more money is going to make you happier in the long run.
Yeah. No, I
I don't know,
agree.
kind of a long answer, but
No, that's true.
I think you got to bust your butt, but also you got to look at like, why are you in this business? Is it to make a bunch of money, or is it to have better quality time with your family?
Right. No, I mean, I kind of tell people you have to earn the right to have balance, right? You got to work
Yeah.
until you get the right to say no to certain things because you're making enough money. So I feel you on that one. So you're a thinker. So thinking ahead, like, what do you think real estate's going to look like in the next 5 or 10 years? Do you think it's going to be much change? Do you think it's going to be drastically different? What do you think it looks like?
I don't think it's going to be drastically different. I think we're already going, to me, the route of the team as being a bigger player in this market. Like when I got in the business, there was a handful of small teams. And then when some, like when there were all the foreclosures and short sales, I saw some teams form around that. But it seemed to be after that where teams kind of built off. So now when you think, an individual agent doing everything, or you coming against me and I got a listing coordinator, transaction coordinator, an ISA, buyer agents, marketing team, like, to me, I think you might not make as much money on a team, but you have a much better chance of making it in this industry because you have that support. So I think just the teams are going to become bigger, stronger is really
Right.
where I see it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. So how do you stay like, this is number 19. Like, what do you do to stay up on market trends? Do you have certain websites or programs you look at, or do you not look at data at all? Like, how do you stay up to date if you
But
do?
I've had the same real estate coach for 15 years,
Wow.
probably. He was with Real Estate Champions and broke off on his own. It's every 2 weeks. And he's more of he's a good friend and mentor, more so than even like a business side of things. Like he'll still give business side, but he's always talking about what the market's doing. And okay, this is what the NAR analyst is saying. Here's what we should expect. So that's where I get a lot of the information. But a lot of it to me too is just a feel for what's going on in the market. Like, okay, I'm going to list 80 to 100 homes this year. Like, is the property being shown or is it not? Are we getting multiple offers or are we not?
Right.
Like, to me, that's a bigger driver for me with the market is just feeling what the market. So what is going on with my team agents? Are they getting deals? Are buyers coming in? I probably should spend 15 minutes a day just researching and learning, because when I then call the follow-up calls, it'd be a better conversation. Yeah, well, have you heard that the interest rates just went down 0.5%? Do you know how that's going to affect you? Hey, does that change anything on your end of why you want to move forward? I think learning can help. But I also think there's a lot of people who know a lot more than me, but sell a lot less because they're the
For sure.
ready, aim, fire, and I'm more the ready, fire, aim. And I'm out there, like making work happen versus thinking, well, the market's not good
Yeah.
or it's good now.
Well, also, I think and I do like data, but also a lot of the data is asking agents what they think. And there's a lot of agents that aren't doing much, but also you can let the data almost manipulate your psyche a little bit. Be like, well, the market's
Sure.
down. So
Yeah.
I think you're onto something by just not necessarily being ignorant to it, but like, you know what? The market's talking to me. I'm not necessarily going to see what other people are compiling 3 months ago. So that's a good one. All right. So last one, going back 2006, you're getting the business. What do you wish you would have known, or what advice would you give somebody starting real estate? Same question, just a different way of looking at it.
I think I would have learned to not hate open houses. Like if I was getting into business today, or let's say I couldn't work here and they dropped me off in any city in America, I know that I would make it just from open houses. Like I would find a brokerage that has a ton of listing agents or that lists a lot of homes, and I'd ask around. If not, I'd go to builders and find them. If builders wouldn't let me, then I'd talk with for sale by owners and say, hey, I'll market your home for free. Will you just let me do open house? Like I think there's such an opportunity for open houses that when I was in the business doing them, and a lot of agents on my team are like, why would I do that? I think there's such an opportunity if you get good, if you are proactive with, instead of just waiting 2 hours at an open house, people show up. I think if you spend an hour or two trying to get people to show up at your open house, I think you could have an opportunity to really build your business just from that. I think that would be the one piece of advice, because it was like, man, I have to do these. When, I'd lay on the couch, turn the TV on. If someone showed up, I'd be like, oh crap, someone's coming to the door. Like I can't just sit and relax anymore. I think
They're dreading
my
it.
attitude around them, I think there's an opportunity for new agents with open houses right now.
Sweet. No, that's great. I did not see that coming. I hate open houses, but you make a good point. Like, you literally could start a business anywhere, just starting there. So like, I never really thought about it that way. All right, Luke, a little over 20 minutes. That's okay. I don't actually think we're ever going to hit 20 minutes on this stuff. Like, there's no way we can do 20 questions in 20 minutes. It would be a horrible
Yeah, and
video.
I don't talk much. You must have some people going for like an hour here.
Sometimes, right? So I appreciate you being on here. As always, Luke's social media handles and everything are down in the show notes, as well as his bio. Hit him up if you love open houses or want to know how he recommends doing open houses.
Seriously.
But more so, make sure you look him up for referrals. Grand Rapids, Hollins, Grand Haven, those places up in the Great White North of Michigan right now. It's 10 degrees, so you can keep that shit. But I appreciate you.
We'll find you an igloo, Brad. You come up here.
Dude, I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, Brad. I
Man.
appreciate it.
Yeah, buddy.